All right, let's dive right in. First things first, let's get the bias out of the way. If you start on the daily, like I do, a couple of things that you can look at. You can see that it's first of all the on the daily. We're in Friday, so I didn't mean to do that. Um, the first day we have a run up and run down, a new low, and then a run higher. So basically above the mid of this wick here, it's really pretty much full on bullish up to this daily, the close of this down bar. At least how I view bias. So every day past uh, Tuesday, I was looking for longs pretty much no matter what. The only thing that might have prevented that is if we'd have failed on a Wednesday like we did on Monday. But really, I was looking for longs the whole way through. So that's my bias is really simple on a day like today. Now, as I come into the first thing here, I want to point out my the three best trades of the morning now that we've done the bias. And those were the 912 Eastern Time fair value gap pullback long, the 942 and the 949. They actually all end up being the same type of trade. The 3 daytime features that I saw as a return to premium. We did so not only on the day, on the week, and on the weekly. So I'll point that out here. And we cleared an old high, which is good. So now we're looking for a rejection. Kind of the business to the upside may be done for now. We'll find out. We've also closed in that daily order block, which means our business to the upside may be done. So we want to look for that next week. And we've closed on the high, which is going to attract a lot of buyers. And that's good too, because we think we may see downside now. How does the business balance that all out? And it comes a process, you really have to think not only in terms of what you want, but what's reasonable to happen. What needs to happen in order for something else to happen. So for instance, I want to have big muscles. Well, that means that I've got to work out, and this describes sort of the sacrificial system of the world. It's a zero-sum game, in order to get, somebody's got to give. Well, if buyers are at the very top closing on their high, what's it look like is happening? It looks like buyers are winning. Well, in order for buyers to win, that means sellers have to lose. Well, what if we're at the very top? How would that work? That's something interesting to think about for the future. 3 expectations for tomorrow are, well, it won't be tomorrow, it'll be Tuesday, but Monday will be Martin Luther King Day, and of course that'll be bank holiday, so no trading on that day. No New York trading on that day. So we'll wait till Tuesday evening, and then we'll start looking for what may happen. And I think maybe we'll balance at the highs. I'll have to go look at news and decide whether or not balance or rejection is most likely, but balance and rejection or just straight up trend lower. So business to the upside is concluded, I think, and so maybe we could be done. Don't know. We will know when we see a little bit more information, but for now, the weekly is done. Of course, it's Friday. That's easy to say. A little late getting these videos out this week, but let's dig in. Let's go just a little further here. Oh, excuse me. Let's go a little further here. And let's do what I like to do. My favorite thing is to dig into the charts. Okay. So I said my bias was long. So what am I looking for? Well, this is, I think, a 5-minute chart. Yep, 5-minute chart. What's happened? Well, one thing that's happened is we had this big news day. And then we get this consolidation around the gap, where that gap was. Go back here and look at this on the 1 minute. In fact, I'll just pull it up. It's real easy to see, real obvious. Where are you? This is the one thing I don't like about this tool. There you go. I'll just throw that on there. This is not super consequential, but it's fun to look at. It's fun to think about. There we go. And nope, not that. And we'll do this here. There you go. You'll notice that becomes a relevant thing later on. Anyway, it kind of looks like we balance around this gap, push higher, balance inside of that new range, and then drop off. So from my perspective, what I really cared about is when I looked at this, I was thinking one of two things. Either the market on the bullish week is driving down into discount so that it can be bought up, or it's failing and it may still need to go down into discount, may need to take out this low a day. I don't know. Hard to know. But it's looking for something. And that's a big part of my process is trying to pin down what looking for something means in a logical way. So I'll give you the analysis of how I did it. Now, a lot of people have, market profile and footprint and delta and, advanced declines and tick and the moon cycles and whether or not they're having a good day. Golly, they got so many things involved with that. But I want to point out something that I used as a part of my strategy for understanding whether or not this low was secure. There's a couple of things that I want to point out from a logic standpoint, and this video may take just a little bit longer than normal, but it's helpful in understanding the process. Now, I want to just mark up this chart just a hair, just a little bit, and then I want to pause and have you just think about what I'm saying. So we've got this sell-off, and then we have this here. Will my button work? My button's not going to work. My pen is being a problem. I guess I'll just use this here. Where is my arrows? Do you see an arrow? I'm looking for an arrow. Do you see one? Do you see one? Do you see one? Holy cow. Okay. Yikes. Okay, there we go. All right, so we get this high put in, and then we have another one. And then it's like a double top high. You notice that? I'm going to have to launch this again. This is driving me crazy. That's way too slow. Oh, it just will not work, will you? You're being a pain in the butt, this tool. Okay, well, golly. Hang on, let me pause. I can fix this. I got to say, EpicPen is a great tool, but it is buggy. Okay, so anyways, you've got this high that comes in, and that's not necessarily consequential, but that high produces a new low, and that's interesting. So to me, that's a very important range to be thinking about. Don't know if it's going to go higher, don't know if it's going to go lower, but this is where I started looking at it. I saw it come up, and then I saw it get held right there, and I thought, wow, that's really interesting. Why not let it go higher? Why not? And then that makes a brand new low, and I thought, wow. And as I was watching this, look at the acceleration down. That almost looks climactic. I thought it was climactic, to be honest with you. So then you see look at what time it happens, right at 8:30. So that's fascinating. Look at when that happens. So then I said, that's interesting. It's like if you were a seller from up here and you saw that and you saw that, where would you move your stop? Right there, wouldn't you? Wouldn't you move your stop there? Yeah, I think you would. I know I would. Well, anyway, then I started watching this, and look what happens to every single high that goes in. Every single high. It just kept getting lower and lower and lower, and I thought, that's interesting. You're really low in the range relative to this. Yeah. And then let's back this out just a little bit. You're also really low in the range compared to this whole thing. So look at this. Look at where we are. From the top of the sell-off to the bottom. And then let's do that again. From the top of this to the bottom. You notice anything? That's 50% right there. What happens? They're aggressively selling this down. Now, why would they do that? Why would you sell so hard, so short in the hole? Could it be because everyone is thinking that as soon as this opens, this is just going to dump and take out that low? Isn't that what everybody's thinking? That's what I was thinking. That's what I was thinking everyone would be thinking. In fact, I wrote that down. So I said to myself, if it's true what I'm saying, if that's true, then there's one of two things that should happen. The first takeout of liquidity of any of these stops should produce an instant reversal, and it should just be full on trend lower. But if that doesn't happen, if we do break out this liquidity, or even if we just trend lower to begin with, if that doesn't happen, then what we should do is we should hold somewhere in here and then push higher, right? That was my logic. So I'm watching this on the 5 minute. I'm watching on the 5 minute simply because I need, with all of the selling that's down in this area, and how far we've sold off and how long the overnight had come, I said to myself, no, I don't want to use a low time frame trigger. I need a little bit more structure, so I chose the 5 minute. And here's what I saw. I saw, first of all, this. I saw we put in the low, and it held that low. And then, although we didn't take out any structure here, we put in another low and we left a gap and we held it. And then we put in another low and we held it. And that kind of looks like a triangle. But then we broke out and we left another gap. And I said, wow. Then we had this big explosive move up. What happened there? It got sold right back down to support, and support took it off, leaving gaps, leaving blocks, and all of that. So you may ask yourself, well, at what point was I willing to take a trade? I'll just show you my transactions here. Not that. I was doing 5-minute trader drills. 5-minute, I keep saying that. 5-point trader drills. That's not what I want to show you. This right there. Okay, so you can see that I took these trades exactly where I said. And I was only looking for 5 points, but I get them. I get a couple down here, a couple stops. Short, long, 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 and then long again. And I got the most of that move. Well, not most of it, but I got that move as a result. And it was all based on the logic of what was going on and being able to identify the price action in its location. The other thing is, this is crucial. Look at the location, the weekly liquidity void. What's that? Well, let me pull it out. Let me pull that up. Why would this, I'm going to take that off there because that's just going to be confusing. There you go. Why would this be relevant? Well, look at this section right here. See that right there where their bodies don't overlap? I said, well, we gapped through the, or not gapped, but we ran up through this, and I thought, this might operate as support. I didn't know if it would or not, but I thought it might because we came up to it, and that's where we rejected Monday. That's right where we rejected. So if we got above that, it might operate as support. I thought that. So I brought that back in today, and I said, let's have a look. What does she do? Sure enough, we held right on that level. We came back down to it, supported around it, got above it, held the very bottom of it. Look where it holds. This is to the tick of the bottom of that liquidity void after breaking that structure at the high side. And then where do we think it's going to run? Well, my view was that we were going to run to this order block here, but also to right there, this daily order block. Now, for me personally, once I'd gotten this run out, I was completely finished. And then I did a little bit of work on the short side right up here, thinking at the close of the day we might reject. And we ended up not rejecting. But I will also talk about the logic of that as well. And just so you know, so it doesn't look like I'm sort of cherry picking, I'll put the executions on there as well. Okay, so here's where I jumped in and made a mistake. I just took it because it was a kind of a setup I've seen before. It was a high, and it was, my mind showed a willingness to go down, and I thought, I'll just take it. That was a mistake, and so I covered it right away. You can see that I just covered it right away. I said that was dumb. I don't know why I just did that. So then I came back and I started hunting, and I noticed that we missed this location. We missed it, and I thought, that's really interesting. I think we might take it out. So I was watching this and studying this area for what I thought would happen, which is what I thought was happening right here, which is a climax high and a return lower, looking for something lower. So I got it. And here was my logic. I saw that we did not advance. The close did not advance. It took this out and it came right back down, and the close didn't advance. And I was just looking for 5 points in my challenge lower. And I was looking at this fair value gap here. I was looking for this location. I'm looking for a reasonable reaction at this location. I got a kind of a reasonable reaction, and then this desire to move lower. And then as soon as that happened, I said, okay, that should go lower. Now, it's okay if it comes up here, but since this did not advance above that, we didn't close above that price there, 40, 10, 50, because we didn't do that, I thought, okay, this is okay. But then once this went down, we should not go past that. And then once we did, I said, no, this trade's over. I let it go one more rotation, but then that was it. I took it out. So let's just look at how I documented that real quick. All right, you can pull this up. And here's what you see. The same thing I just described back. Sorry, I don't know why that did that. There we go. Same thing I just described is that the close did not advance, and that became my trigger, looking for 5. And then I saw this fair value gap here, and look, we supported it. And I was like, that's not great. And then it comes back up again, and I'm going, okay, now it should really slice down through this area. And then it didn't. And you can see here it says ticked the high and then closed higher. See that? So in my mind, right there, the trade is over. There's no reason to be in this trade anymore. But because it paused, I thought, this may just dump down a little bit. And it did. It ended up dumping down a little bit. But I said, this should not be violated right there. And it was violated. So the trade is really over. It's just this happening here is just pure luck, really. I mean, it could have just blasted through there. But you notice that it's holding this fair value gap here, and it's holding, and I said it shouldn't violate this, and then it did violate that. And that basically became the end of the trade, and I just collapsed it at that point. So the execution was basically perfect. Got a good amount of onside. I think I was up maybe 12 or 14 ticks. My target was 20, so it's 5-point challenge. I never got to the 20 points. But it did not go, and then that becomes an opportunity for the breakout to the upside. Really, look at how many times it's tapped this. So what are aggressive buyers? It may flip that situation that we're talking about. So either buyers are correct and it's proper for them to be aggressive, or they're wrong and they're just being baited into a late buy. Well, one of the things that you notice about this trade that's different than the long of the morning is that look at the lows that keep going in. The sellers are like winning a little bit. So there's two ways to look at that. Either the sellers are winning because they're stronger, or the buyers are letting them come into them. Why? Because you'd want a lower price. And as soon as it creates a lower price right here, as it had done here before, that's when it makes a new high and it breaks out. That's how you can start to look at structuring your longs in a consolidation as to whether or not they're going to go. It's the composite. It's not just the one bar. It's not just the one trigger. It's the context of the entire thing. And I don't mean context like a word that describes a bunch of ambiguous information that I don't have to quantify. No, I mean falsifiable logic. Did we have a close that did not advance? Yes, we did. On a new high? Yes. That created a relative new low? Yes. Okay, yeah, to me that sounds good. But when that was violated, then that logic that we had is now falsified, which means we're wrong. Trade is over. And we're not waiting on hope. We don't need that. We don't need hope. We know that our logic is plenty enough because these are computers that are executing these price levels. It's price and it's time. It's completely logic friendly. That doesn't mean it does things that we always understand, and that doesn't mean we're always going to be able to predict the future. I'm not saying that. I'm simply saying that when it comes to controlling the controllables, our logic is perfectly nested in every decision that we make. So I really appreciate you guys watching this. Feel free to make any comments, and I'd love to engage with you. I'm participating in a lot of Discords today. I'm doing interviews and things like that. But if you want to reach out to me, we can do a workshop, and I'd love to talk to you about your process. As far as today goes, was a good day. Pretty happy to be a trader these days. Take care of yourself.